So this is our showcase for SourceGuard. Our goal is to reduce misinformation through an AI system that distinguishes fact from rhetoric. The end users are professional journalists, reporters and editors, and more specifically our own newsroom. Let me quickly recap the logic of our system and the core value it's based on. If we think of the journalistic narrative as a construct, facts are the bricks and rhetoric is the cement that holds those bricks together. Every journalistic piece is built mainly on facts bounded together by rhetoric. Rhetoric is valuable when used properly. It helps place dry information in a human context. It explains and comments on facts to make them clearer, and sometimes sharpens the narrative through cautious literary devices, like the very metaphor of bricks and cement. This is the healthy use of rhetoric. It supports fact. Misuse or outright abuse happens when rhetoric is used to compensate for factual gaps. Common factual gaps include omitting one of the famous 5 W's of the news reporting, who, what, where, when, and why, presenting data without attribution, relying exclusively on anonymous sources, or even just a single one, quoting claims without trying to validate them, and so on. In such cases, the gaps are often covered with misused rhetoric, such as emotional tone, overdramatic phrasing, unverified assumptions, or opinions presented as fact, and so on and so on. So in terms of the source material and the mechanism of news, this is the distinction between information and emotion. And that essentially is the difference between news, commentary, or just blunt propaganda. So to make sure our reporting has the right balance between fact and rhetoric, we have compiled about 30 prompts that are meant to point out instances of factual gaps and misused rhetoric, and we coded them into the system. And I will now show it in action in a pre-recorded presentation.
This is SourceGuard, and as you can see, it's pretty straightforward. You can either provide a link from one of the supported sites, or you can upload a Word file, which is the more common option. Uploading takes a few minutes, so we'll skip that step and go straight to the archive. On the left, you can see the article itself, and on the right, the insights. At the top right, there is a summary of the analysis, and I'll translate it very briefly. The article presents an in-depth political analysis, but it lacks sufficient transparency regarding sources and data, and it uses broad terms without precise definition. Below the general insight, you'll find categories such as article sources, how style shapes the narrative, and what needs more context. When you click on a category, you'll see the relevant insights, and clicking on an insight highlights its instances in the text, and clicking on the marked text reveals the explanation. For example, here, the use of the term like childish threats is emotional and interpretive language that blurs the distinction between reporting and opinion.
So other than me thinking now that I would have sounded more relaxed in the video, in the pre-recorded video, I will also move to what's next for us. So in terms of the scalability, we do want it to go further and further in much broader circles. And the output will be in accordance with the audiences. For instance, when for now, it's used for our newsroom. So the system output acts like some sort of an ethical proofreader. It's very constructive. It's very insightful. It tells you, this is where you were much more emotional than you should have, and so on. But then we can bring it to other newsroom. It will be probably the same output. In terms of academia, we're thinking that the output will be much more educational, and when it will go, hopefully for the general public, the output will be much more rigorous or critical, which is a whole different story. So thank you, everybody. It has been a journey, and I'm free for questions.